opportunity also to respond.
Yeah, I will be quickly in the...
But you need to also put an action
Yes.
item on the table.
I will quick answer back to the cost. I think it's extremely costly also drinking the water from your bottle that is coming from Italy. So I think it's unsustainable in the long term. It could be like much easier to desalinization process in the shorter term. So when you look at the coastline of Tel Aviv, desalinization could be much better solution than bringing Italian water to Tel Aviv, and that's one of the answer. The other answer could be that it's the value of the soil and the benefit instead to consume soil. The soil consumption should be much, the indirect benefit is much higher than the direct benefit of that. And if you look, I know that the airport close to the power plant is supposed to be new, I don't know, development, keeping green, or maybe food production there in somehow, that could be much better for climate and the value of the land than having a new hotel or new house, so here in Tel Aviv. So that is also something that is the indirect benefit is not calculated to maybe spend more for food and less for, I don't know, you quote missiles before, so less for war. So that could be much better. And if, as a public authority, sometimes we need to take decision that is cost more, that was the real benefit, if the benefit is food for kids or is food for population. And I'm sorry, but my background is an economist as well, so that's also why you keep me on my background, so that's it. But about the iteming action, I mean, I didn't have my list because we are still working, but I think there is one option that for city, it depends from the size of cities, that could be something important. In the next few weeks, months, we will announce the new vertical farm in the city of Milan. And why we have a lot of abandoned building, abandoned factory, and we can have a lot of co-working, we can have a lot of new startup, we can have a lot of new community up, but at the end of the day, we need to retrofit a lot of the building. And should become like a new legislation in the urban planning process to bring from being like an industrial site to something that could produce food locally. It's not the same, have to taste when you produce your food on your balcony or on the ground, but as a big city that we have developed in the past years, industrial site or whatever, could has become a new way to answer to one of the risks. You also reduce the risk of bringing food from outside. And it's the collapse of the infrastructures. We are it's like the last months in Milan, Genova, there was a collapse on infrastructure, and it could affect also the food delivering and so on. So can we bring back and not be aware to produce food inside buildings if that could be an answer to higher crises? So that could be an option, and so it's looking at urban planning legislation as an opportunity for that. The other one that we are doing in the city of Milan, that we at the moment is 74% of the soil is occupied by housing. So the new master plan of the city is saying that from 74 we want to go back to 70%. So renaturalize the city of 4%, so bringing back the green or the food into the city. So this is also something that you should, items action, is to renaturalize the cities, and building with nature in the next 20 years is an essential element. And where is food? If food is part of the nature, so is there the answer that? And the third item action is related to water, and there is no food without water. And looking at water management in a better proposal in recovering, reusing, as much as possible, reducing the consumption of water, because we are wasting a lot of water. I mean, I was running this morning around, and I was shocked. I mean, it's happening everywhere, in every country. To look people cleaning their shoes by sand with the water, right? So they say, hey guys, these are shoes. You don't need water to clean your shoes after you run by the beach. So you decide to run by the beach, and then you want to clean your shoes because then you go home and you want to be dirty. You can just take off your shoes, and then you put on your balcony, and the next time you run as well with the dirty shoes. So, but all this small action is the bigger item action we need to take for the future. So that is my free.
Well, yes, of course.
I agree basically with you. All I say is we need to do the full cost-benefit analysis. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, because like the case of desalinated water, we were approached by sort of an allegation that some key minerals are missing in the water. So something that looks very attractive at the outset may turn out to be an issue. I don't say it's not solvable, but it's an issue. Now, I'll be very brief about several action items that we have, at least in my work in Israel. We have now a relatively new program which provides food security for about 10,000 households, okay? And this is run really by, practically, the money is government, central government money, okay? But it's run basically by the cities, by the welfare, departments. Is that the right expression? Yeah, right. What we have, we've been allocated basically about $10 million. It would be work out to $10 million, where we supply food to, or secure food to about 10,000 households. It's a mix of kind of food stamps, like a credit card, which is confined, plus parcels, food parcels, okay? Now, and here I identify with what you said. We basically had we had identified exactly the households who need it, okay? And who are vulnerable households. In other words, who are likely to fall into food insecurity just in case. So the first step is really to provide food. And then we have also to identify which households need more parcels than money, like elderly groups, okay? Would probably benefit more if we bring them ready-made food rather than give them a credit card, etc. So we have to identify, optimize here who gets what, etc. The next step we are taking it is now to identify which households have a diabetic, okay? And so we try to modify the food that they receive to their health need. Okay, so we try slowly to refine the process, and it's really it's a gradual process. First, we had to convince the government that this is a needy program. It agreed for the first time in Israel's history, and now we got the information about the households. And we have quite accurate information today, and now we try to identify the program from making it not just a food supply program, but a healthy food supply program. And first step is with diabetes, and then we'll go on farther, and gluten-free food, etc.
Yes, we came up with the strategies that we are discussing now, probably from a different angle. From what usual happen, because we realized that actually our city, we are having high mortality rates. And when we tried to find out why that was the case, we, in a nutshell, research we did was like we found out that indeed Mozambique has got one of the highest mortality rates in Mozambique, be it maternal mortality rates, be infant mortality rates. And there were three main causes. One was malaria, the other one was HIV/AIDS, but the number three cause was undernutrition. So nutrition was playing a major role in the mortality rates, mainly maternal, infant, and juvenile mortality rate. But at the same time, we were facing a challenge with sanitation, mainly about waste management. So while we are trying to understand how to deal with these challenges, then we came up with the idea on how to use waste to improve nutrition. And the idea was indeed to use part of the waste and transform it into compost, so then we could teach local farmers and local farmers associations to use compost to improve not only their production but also their productivity. And then by that way, we will then affect the levels of nutrition
Within the city?
within the city.
On the neighborhood level?
Yes.
Or you collect the waste and then turn it into compost?
we collect the waste. Actually, what we did with the cooperation of Milan municipality was to create a compost center where we collect, because it's a municipal service, so normally we would collect it. Actually, we were collecting it anyway, but then we were just dumping it.
Yeah.
Now what we are doing with the expertise from the Milan municipality is to make good use of that waste. So we transformed two problems into a solution of the two problems. One on the waste management level, and the other affecting the level of nutrition. So when we created that compost center, we brought in farmers. At the beginning, they were very reluctant in using the compost, of course, but they had never used before. So we created a field, a demonstration field, where we would showcase that, look, in this area we are not using compost, but in that area we are using, so please, you come and see by yourself the difference. And from there, we enacted it and they started using it. So we are also part of I forgot to say that I'm the vice president for Africa for ICLEI, and we are part of the ICLEI RUAF Seed Food project. So it's under this, but I'm mentioning that because I want to say that we may be facing different challenges, both in the north or in the south. It's very important, now I'm trying to answer your question, that we share experience, because there are some municipalities who have got experience, who have gone through this process, while there are others who are not exposed. So if we cooperate, if we share our